Granblue Fantasy is another game I wanted to play through and explore its storyline. Now I'll try to tell you about it. It is a story about a group that soars through the skies, aiming to reach the edge of the world. It all starts when our team gets caught in a storm and we choose who to play as, either the boy or the girl. But as the storm clears, we see our next destination. While roaming the ship, we converse with our team about their thoughts on the matter. Our team consists of Gran and Djeeta, who will be the captain. Our next companion is a girl, Lyria, whose life force is linked to the captain. And the other members of this brave travelers team, a little girl, Eugene, Catalina, Rakam and Rosetta. During the flight everything was fine, but suddenly we were attacked by evil birds and now we have to fend them off. Gran and Lyria decide to use their connection power and summon Bahamut, who was supposed to destroy all these birds. But something went wrong and the next target became us. But Lyria managed to regain control over him and everyone was saved. But Lyria loses consciousness and falls from the ship, prompting Gran to try to catch her. And of course, Gran's faithful companion tries to save them, the little lizard with his wings, but they fail and all three fall down. In his dreams, Gran sees Lyria, a girl who was fleeing from the Empire, and Gran saved her, but ultimately was seriously injured, and then Lyria bound their lives together and established a connection between their souls. Since Gran is alive, his goal is to find Estalucia, the island of the Astrals. Gord manages to wake Gran up and he finally regains consciousness, and immediately rushes to rescue Lyria, who is under attack by wolves. And now together with Lyria our goal is to escape from this forest, but on the way we encounter a huge crocodile-like creature, and our team comes to the rescue, bravely battling the crocodile. After that we need to learn more about this place, so our next goal is to find the nearest city. We arrived in the city and everyone scattered to different places, so one went to drink, another will be at the port with the Grand Cipher ship. A little girl went to look at cosmetics and suggested that Lyria change herself a little. After wandering around the city for a bit, we head to our meeting place near the church, where we meet a blonde guy named Roland. But a few minutes later, a villager from one of the villages rushes up to him, saying that a tornado has appeared out of nowhere there. Roland immediately realizes that something has angered the primal beast that resides in the temple, and we set out to find out the truth about what angered the primal beast there. Before figuring out what happened in the temple, we must save the local residents who were attacked by goblins. After several battles, we learned that the goblins took a couple of villagers to their lair, where we will have to fight the local boss of this camp. And here we finally reach the temple where the strongest winds rage. And it is all because of the primal beast Furrican, which for unknown reasons became enraged. After defeating Furrican, Lyria tried to tame it with her power, but then suddenly a purple force appeared, forcing Lyria to absorb the beast. And then people arrived, wanting to take Lyria with them, but the team won't just give her up, so we engage in battle. But we still can defeat him. After that, the leader of the Pilgrims of Avia descends, named Lilith, who wants to take Lyria with her and calls her the Shaman of Salvation. Her goal is to reach Utopia, namely to open the gates to Estalucia, the same place our main hero Gran is trying to reach. The Pilgrims of Avia take Lyria with them anyway. She tries to summon Bahamut, but with Lilith's power Bahamut cannot be summoned. In his dream, Gran sees Lyria and she asks him to save her. After that he suddenly wakes up, but now he is in the city. So let's talk to everyone. The whole team decides to save Lyria, and Roland will help us with this. He knows where the Pilgrims of Avia went. And here Roland leaves new equipment for Gran, including the Sword of Eos. After some preparation, we set off for Litania Island, and Roland not only repaired our ship but also equipped it with weapons. And this blonde guy calls himself Mr. Fix-It and can do a lot with his own hands. Our ship reaches the enemy's ship and a clash occurs here. We managed to defeat a couple of ships, but now Galanza, one of the Lilith's generals, enters the arena. After his defeat, he flies away epically on his spear. We reach the desired island where it is snowing. Meanwhile, Rackham doesn't want to leave his ship unguarded, and Mr. Fix-It decides to guard it. And so we reach the monastery where we encounter a little girl who is another one of Lilith's generals. And she destroys a bridge to slow down our team. Since the order wasn't to kill us, it was decided to just slow us down. After the fall we encounter a huge eye that wants comes to kill us. After defeating it, it falls onto a wall, which collapses, opening the way for us. Here we reach the monastery, but we are besieged by a huge number of monsters trying to kill us. And then the overseer of Milo's monastery named Historia comes to our aid and she helps us kill these monsters. But to reach the altar where the primal beast is located, we need Historia's help. She allows us to open the gates that lead to this altar. And our task is simply to guard her while she opens the gates. And finally we reach the altar, where we see Lyria with the choker. Also, there is another one of Lyria's generals called Ed, and he also has the same choker, but he tries to protect Lyria. And we engage in a fight with him, but now Lyria summons the one who guarded this altar, Wolf of Icy Mist Managarm. It takes Lyria with him and leaves, while we are left to battle the primal beast. We fight the boss for a couple of minutes, and finally we manage to defeat it, and the primal beast simply disappears. And then Roland calls us, ready to pick us up. He arrives here and the conversation turns to Lyria's strange behavior, and Historia mentions that Lyria had a choker, which is likely related to her strange behavior. Well, Roland heard stories that the Church of Avia owned something like that, and this choker is actually the Mind Sealer, which allows manipulation of whoever wears the choker. So, the decision was made to go to the family Zadba, who are informants, but they won't work for free and will have to pay for their services. Now our goal is to reach the city of Seed Hollow, and this is a huge city compared to the previous one. We head to Zadba family base, where we meet two workers who are fully engaged in their tasks and tell us that not see their boss, we need to come back later. Since they're all busy, but we need their help, we decide to assist them to free up some time and talk to Zadba. So we go to another henchman who asks us to find something missing in the city and also warns us that it is dangerous. And it turns out to be a simple cat that got lost. This henchman had a childhood incident where he was scratched by a cat, and now he has a lifelong trauma, psychological and physical, as the cat left a scar on his body. Then we are sent to eavesdrop on the soldiers, who talk about fortifying the castle and all the islands in general, because the Church of Avia might invade the altar located here. And finally, we finish these minor tasks and Zadba is free, which means it is time to talk and make a deal with him. He tells us about the Catalyst Stone, which is located in the ruins on the island. In exchange, he asks us to bring him the hidden treasure stored in these ruins, and we need to break the seal. While we set out to search for the Catalyst Stone with Zadba, Roland decides to search for where the Church of Avia's ship flew off to. Meanwhile, it remembers that everything was burning in his childhood, and then Lilith appears, the same one who saved him. And Lyria senses where the next god they're looking for is located. Meanwhile, the newest Gran reaches Dali Island. There in the center of the desert lies the treasure we need, but to unlock it, we have to remove the seal. And what we are looking for is exactly beneath it. The process of breaking the seal occurs when we activate all 4 keys located around this area. But each time we fight bosses guarding these keys. We break the seal and the treasure emerges from underground along with what we came for, the items that will help break the choker on Lyria's neck. But it is not that simple. Suddenly we are surrounded by these small creatures who serve the Church of Avia. A girl removes her hood and reveals her face. She is called Magliel. After defeating her kindred, she personally joins the battle. But she is defeated by our hands. Refusing to surrender and hand over the treasure, she destroys it. The small creatures take Magliel and simply flee. The destruction of this pedestal awakens the primeval god Excavalion, whom we have to fight. We set about destroying its weak points, namely destroying the cords located throughout its body. Excavalion falls and now a vulnerable spot is revealed. And the ships that arrive to help us all starts firing at once, but on Wayne as the sandstorm forms protecting it. So Gran and his team, who are already in the storm, reaches us back and try to destroy this crystal. They manage to destroy the crystal and Excavalion is defeated. Vern takes the Catalyst Stone and now it is time to save Lyria from Avia. Roland, who is keeping track of the Avia ship, learns that the place they are heading to found on the Scarred Isles. And it is a dreadful place, constantly flowing with magma and scorching heat. Since it is impossible to keep the ship there, Roland decides to take it to another place, and then simply return to pick us up. Gran and the team head to the next altar, exactly where the Avia henchmen were sent. On our way we encounter the next primal beast, where Lyria is found unconscious. Alongside is Id, who wants to save her. Id rushes forward and we follow after him. Together we fight against this beast, but at the same moment Vern tries to bring to consciousness Lyria using the catalyst stone. After numerous attempts we finally manage to free Lyria and rid her of the choker around her neck. But then Lilith arrives and takes Lyria away, handing her over to Id, who lives with her. However, Lilith herself stays behind and starts fighting against Gran's team. She traps them all in magical cells and destroys the catalyst stone, then calmly leaves through the gates. After this, Roland arrives, destroying all these cells, and states that our team is capable of saving this world. He finally decides to reveal the truth about Lilith's actions. Lilith awakens the primal beasts from their slumber and steals their power, which she keeps in a vessel namely Lyria, and the astral realm is Lilith's home. To return she needs to restore the forbidden primal Angramanu. This beast can create gates and travel to different points. Lilith wants to feed him the power of other primal beasts, but to return to the astral realm a lot of energy will be required, because the greater the distance between the portals, the more energy will be needed. And Roland fears that such a portal between two dimensions will completely erase the sky realm from existence, the place where our heroes currently live. 15 years ago, Lilith revived Angramanu and tried to open a portal, but something went wrong and her plan failed, but some islands were unlucky, becoming uninhabitable. Now Lilith wants to gather the power of 4 more primal beasts and try again. Roland knows all this because he too is an astral. Their conversation is interrupted by Avia's invasion on our ship. Fortunately, they weren't many and we quickly defeat them all. But after this, Roland tells us that Angramanu's real body is an altar located beneath its hollow castle. Now we have to break through Avia's military force to reach the altar. They have something resembling mechs, and getting hold of one allows us to deal with the others, and also destroy Avia's ship. But in the next battle we have to face 2 of Lilith's generals at once, specifically Galanza and the little girl Magliella. After a prolonged battle, they are unable to continue fighting us, so we simply let them go, as our goal is Lilith. And there it is, the altar before us, with Lilith and Id too. Roland starts his fight against Lilith while we must defeat Id, who is supposed to guard Lyria. In reality, the power of Bahamut is hidden within its body and he transforms into it, but he still fails against us. And then we enter the portal, where we see Lyria lying on the ground. Lilith uses the power of her primal beast and Roland disappears. Meanwhile, we remain to fight against Angramanu, and one by one he starts teleporting our allies. The last one was Gran, but thanks to it, who realized how terrible his mother was, and that he should have protected Lyria, Gran is safe. Then Gran uses the power of the link given to him by Lyria to defeat Angramanu. When Gran manages to sever Angramanu, the space around begins to collapse. Gran sees Lyria trapped there and tries to establish a link with her, and they succeed in summoning Bahamut. Now, the battle will be on equal terms, one primal beast against another. After defeating Angramanu, everything returned to normal and everyone returned to Sid Hollow Castle. But this is still not the final victory, because Lilith along with Angramanu returned and created a portal into which she entered with the captive Roland. And together with the team we head to the pillar, the place where we'll confront Lilith. On the way to the very top of the pillar we encounter the primeval gods we have already defeated, but with dark souls. And Id joins our battle, still protecting Lyria. Then he becomes a member of our dream team. Galanza joins us in the next boss battle. After the battle with the boss, Galanza falls asleep, and we continue encountering a situation where Magliella comes to our rescue this time. Reaching the top we meet Lilith, while Gran and Lyria begin to use their power to summon Bahamut, but Angramanu's grip prevents it from appearing. Meanwhile, the deranged Lilith keeps talking about bringing the world to Utopia when she achieves her goal. She sends Angramanu to fight us. To her misfortune, the Sky Dwellers proved to be much stronger than she thought, and we managed to defeat Angramanu. Lilith is unwilling to lose Lilith offers her body as a vessel for Angramaniu's power. But now we have a large army of ships, from Zadban history on our side, as well as 2 generals who were previously under Lilith. They empower our main characters with the strength to resist Lilith's power. And with the combined power of Lyria, they manage to engulf Angramaniu, living on Lilith. This time she refuses to surrender easily, she uses it as a vessel which held Bahamut, and now she summons him. It turns out that 15 years ago she used him as a vessel to save Bahamut's power, hoping that one day he would fulfill her dream. With a single strike of his tail, he pushes Lilith off the cliff and flies away. Roland shares his suspicion that everything fits together. 15 years ago, during Lilith's failure to summon Angramaniu, Bahamut appeared, but not the one everyone knew, but Bahamut Versa. He sensed Angramaniu's power and absorbed it. It turns out that it was supposed to destroy this world, bringing about a rebirth for everything, what she calls salvation. And now next goal is to defeat this Bahamut Versa, who hovers high in the clouds. Lyria decides to create a shield to protect us from Bahamut versus beam, and Bahamut appears fighting on our side. It decides to fight us alone, and we accept his challenge. He is quite powerful, but still not much for our team, and he returns to his Bahamut, enchanting it, and aggression takes over. But after a while he regains his senses and decides that he must protect everyone. Now it is on our side, and we manage to deliver the final blow to Bahamut Versa. But Bahamut Versa doesn't give up and returns from another dimension. Our Bahamut tries to resist him. Also, it and Gran combine their attacks and send Bahamut Versa into the portal. Inside the portal, Roland comes to our aid, using a magical whip to push it and Gran closer to the exit. But he remains there and talks to the team via the radio, but unfortunately not for long. And so our team's journey comes to an end. The world is saved, but we lost Roland. It wants to replace Roland and help the city where he lived, fulfilling the requests of the residents and saving them from various troubles.